Homes don't just sell themselves. One of the biggest myths that people tell themselves during a hot market is that you can just put a sign on the ground and a house will sell. Although it might feel like that sometimes, a lot more goes into it. Even a home that sells quickly can leave thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars on the table if it's not prepared to show its best to potential buyers. Today, my expert realtor panel of Melanie Wright and Natalie Baizana will walk you through what they do and how you can add thousands of dollars to your own bottom line when selling your home. I'm Nick Fundytus, and this is the Realtor in Your Pocket podcast.
You're listening to Realtor in Your Pocket podcast. Do you want a head start on buying, selling, or renting in Ottawa? You're in the right place. Every episode brings you great advice and insight that you can keep in your back pocket until you make your move. And now, here's your host, Nick Fundytus.
All right, this is Realtor in Your Pocket podcast, and I am joined today by Natalie Baizana and Melanie Wright, both colleagues of mine, both excellent realtors. Can you tell a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. I'm born and raised from Ottawa, and I have a family here, 2 school-age kids, and I've been in real estate since just around 2000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit, you're on a team, so tell me a little bit.
I am. So I have 2 partners, and we work a little bit different from a normal team in that instead of having kind of one lead agent and then supplementary support partners, we have kind of 3 equal partners.
Okay.
And we have specialties within the city, but we do all work collectively. And our clients have loved the team approach.
Yeah, and I've seen the homes that you've listed, and I've seen your team at work, and you're a good fit to be on today. Melanie, how about you?
Also born and raised in Ottawa, and I've been doing real estate for 10 years now, almost. And I have 2 kids, live in Hintonburg, and and I work on my own.
Yeah, and you have full-time admin, right?
Yeah, she's more than an admin. She is my everything. So she is. Without her, there would be no business. So we are the team.
Shout out to Tracy.
Tracy, yeah, for sure.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah, and your path through real estate when you came in, you started on the buyer side. You started as a buyer specialist for a team.
Yeah,
and so you have kind of an interesting perspective of really like. For a long time, you got to focus on what a buyer sees, and I would imagine that gives you some perspective on, now on the listing side, how to prepare to show for that.
I think that gave me a lot of perspective. Yeah, so going through hundreds of houses and seeing how they're staged really just brings you to a comfortable level of what homes should look like. And when you see fabulous listings like yours, and you know how great listings should look like. So
yeah. She's nodding at Natalie, by the way, if you're on audio, not at me. So
you too, obviously.
So and then my team is a little bit more traditional. It's like a top down. So I'm the lead agent. We have a couple of buyer agents, and we have some admin staff. We have a videographer and a marketer who's here in the studio today, and we're actually going to go. I'm here for advice because we're going to go shoot a couple places today. So I figured
oh, are you
prepared? Yeah. So the questions I want to take our listeners through here is this mainly for sellers. So this is a seller focused podcast. Aside from pricing correctly, which I would say is one of the most important things you can do, but we're not going to get into in this episode. What do you think are the most important things that one can do to get their home ready for sale, or that we can do to help a client get ready for sale?
Melanie, would you like me to start?
Sure, you can start. Okay. I'll do the last one.
Okay. That's a great question. So I think the key thing is that we really want to consider getting people in the door and factoring in the benefits of staging. You know, the idea is that you are presenting the house in a way that it will, appeal to a diverse buyer audience, and that it will show the house in its best light. So maximizing the buyer audience and trying to get as many potential people through that may love the home and want to offer on it.
Well, the second part of it was about the clients.
Sure.
And I think the best thing to do with sellers is to go and take them. It's the most gentle approach, at least I find. Go and take them to see fabulous listings in their neighborhood and show them what their home should look like, so that it's not a grand surprise when when you're asking them to take everything off the counters and half the furniture out and, whatever's involved in that particular sale. So I think it's sort of the best way to work with the sellers and just to keep the communication lines open. So
that's a great idea. And it's not one that I've adopted, but I think I might, if with your permission, I'm going to steal that. So on our side, I think the things to get ready for sale, today we're going to talk about staging, the importance of photography and videography, good written copy, things like that, for all those things, as Natalie said, to get the buyer to come in the door. Because if you don't have somebody actually come visit the home, you're not going to get an offer. Mm-hmm. So, and there are at any given time, like even right now where there's not as much on the market, I think there's still 3,000 homes listed or something like that. And yours needs to stand out enough that somebody's going to visit it. So the second question is, what is the aim of preparation? Is to get somebody through the door. What kind of look or feel are we going for when getting a home ready for sale? Like, what are you thinking? What are you communicating to a client? What kind of look or feel?
So I think, when you say look and feel, it is important to focus on the senses, right? So when you're coming into a space, buying a home is such a personal endeavor for people. And it's usually not just a structure. It's a safe haven. They're trying to replace, their current safe haven with a new one. So what will they feel? What will they see? What will they smell? What will they hear? And trying to emphasize that in the preparation. So, are there repairs that need to be made? Does the house need a top to bottom cleaning? Is the furniture maybe not aptly sized? You're trying to make it inviting and airy with good flow, emphasize the function of the space, but also depersonalize the space a bit, right? So that people can see themselves in the new space versus seeing the family that lives there.
Sounds good.
I would say that basically I just want to whitewash houses and paint everything Chantilly lace and declutter and just sort of, depersonalize, but make it warm and make it bright. So I think that's the most important thing, is to maximize the light no matter what direction it's coming in. And I have a listing coming up, and they're painting their home, I think, Chantilly lace, and get it as bright as possible, So
super. And so both you touched on depersonalize. Talk just a little bit about that there.
So I think part of it is, personal photos, of course, but also, memorabilia, collections. I think it's important when we prepare the home that we're not erasing the people that live in the home. I think that's a mistake sometimes, where it just feels too blank. But you do want to kind of pare back a bit on the clutter or the overwhelming feel or theme of a space, so that it is a bit brighter and lighter and inviting, right?
On that note, like I try and tell clients, says if you're looking for inspiration, hotel might be a little bit too far, but look at some nice Airbnbs. Look at an Airbnb that you would really want to go to that doesn't have like somebody else's photos on the wall, because we want someone in the house to spend time thinking about how they would fit in the house and not who lives in the house. You don't want them doing like an anthropological survey of who you are and try and work out, I think I went to high school with them.
Right. And having both worked with buyers and still work with buyers.
Yeah.
We have our buyers do that. They look at, where is this? Oh, do you think that was a vacation? Maybe this is their honeymoon. How old do you think their dog is? Like there is a lot of, it's distracting from the property that stays behind in the purchase, right?
Yeah. Even university like diplomas and
Absolutely.
stuff, having that on the wall.
Credentials on the wall.
Oh, I wonder, and then they're trying to figure out everything about the seller rather than it's detracting from the house.
Yeah. I had that I was at a listing appointment the other day, and I got just as distracted. The guy was a doctor, he's retired, and I was trying to work out whether he might have delivered me, like in Edmonton in the late 70s, right? So I thought, you worked at the Royal Alex Hospital in the 70s, yeah. Okay, so what kinds of homes or sales benefit the most from good preparation, and which ones does it matter less? Now, I would say that it matters in all, but what kind of ones need it the most?
So I would say, every home can generally benefit. And even some homes, they're just beautifully presented and there's no clutter and it's very contemporary and current, but again, may have a little bit too much furniture or not enough furniture or art that's distracting from the space. So I think sometimes it's the minimum is, a light finessing. It can be in other properties, maybe supplementation. And then you can have the gamut of a vacant property that needs everything, right? And we have had scenarios sometimes where you have professionals who are maybe early in their career, but they've spent years getting educated to be in their career. And so they may still kind of have furnishings. They might have a beautiful property, but maybe they haven't had the time or the energy to go and invest in the furnishings that match the property. And so maybe it's a bit distracting or detracting from the space that's there.
Yeah, that PhD student aesthetic with like the IKEA desks.
Yeah,
held
hand-me-down university.
IKEA tabletop held up by books. Yeah.
Thank goodness for IKEA.
How about you? What do you think where you need it the least and the most?
The least is when you walk into a house and it's like Marie Kondo just left, and I had one last year and I walk in and I'm like, I'm intimidated by your home now, but then you can always add flowers or, then you can go the extra mile on those little minute details and start organizing books by color and, that sort of thing. But the ones that need it the most are, when there are a lot of things in the home. Mm-hmm. And you need to those ones I go in stages, and we just do it. I'll go in weekly and give them a task and then come back. But also when there's a stigma, if you're on a super busy road or you've got a Circle K across the street or whatever, those ones need to look even better than your average house to get people in the door.
Whereas a buyer, you're going to say, I love this house so much, I don't care that the 95 runs straight by it.
Yes.
On every 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think those are really good points. Let's talk specifically about staging. So do you use it? Let's discuss its importance, and when wouldn't you stage?
So our team, we love staging. We think staging is paramount. We spend quite a bit of energy in helping our clients, figure out these are the options for staging and what are you most comfortable with. Okay. And it really is very client dependent. We always give the gamut of you can go from a 1 to 10 and what are you open to. And these are the things that we feel are of greatest priority. And I think, again, it can be, it is rare to find the Marie Kondo house. They do exist, and those are amazing. And then you have the opposite where you have, really great bones in a house, but just we know that the average person is not going to see it unless you help them bring it into kind of more contemporary styling or presentation. But we do have professional staging companies, which we use. And then we also do lighter staging ourselves. And depending on the client and what their needs are, as Melanie said, you can break it down. Sometimes you have a seller who maybe is thinking of selling in a year and they have lots of time to start purging and doing preparations and repairs and that kind of thing.
I love when that happens. When somebody reaches out to me a year ahead and says, I'm moving in 2024, it being 2023 now. And it's great. I'm glad you talked to me now. Talk to the stagers today and just take the whole year to do little by little when you feel like it.
And different times of year, you can tackle different projects, right? And it's less overwhelming. Mm-hmm. For other families, if you have 3 kids under 10 and 2 dogs and a cat and a bird, and sometimes it's got to be hard and fast. So very selective to the client, but definitely always ways that you can make improvements to draw the appeal in.
Yeah. So do you stage?
Yes. I stage every home, but mm-hmm. it depends. And it also depends on the price point too,
sure.
So I'm pretty hands-on and I'll do a lot of it myself. And I kind of like that sort of thing. A lot of it is removing bigger pieces of furniture and moving things around. But I really like to work with the furniture they have because I really find buyers like to see places that they can see themselves in. And but if a home is vacant, it looks a lot smaller and sadder than when there's furniture in it. So absolutely having staging, bringing someone in to do it. But I also have somebody who comes in and will do staging with what they have. And I have items obviously that I can bring in too.
Sure. I did an episode a while back with Kaylin from Room Remedy. And so she quoted, there's a stat from the National Association of Realtors in the States that staged homes, they've measured it, and they sell faster. They sell for percentages more than unstaged homes. Like there are clear advantages to it above and beyond the cost of doing it. So we do include some staging with all of ours. But again, like Melanie was saying, that there's sort of a sliding scale on what the home needs. So sometimes they're absolutely presentable. Every once in a while you'll have a house that's just being sold to be knocked down. And that you might not do any staging because it's. If you have a house that's going to be torn down, it's not really beneficial to the price to bring new furniture into it. But we also do, like with a vacant listing, we'll often do virtual staging because it might cost with physical staging, $5,000 plus $5,000 to $10,000 to do physical staging for a fully vacant place, and then have that in place the whole time that it's listed. Whereas with virtual staging, you can have it and it accomplishes, you can have really contemporary furniture to fit the space. And then you can, that will bring clients in. And then when they're in the space, you can sort of see it. But it was one thing that you said, Melanie, was really interesting, was that with vacant, how small a space can look when it's vacant. When in fact, it's actually, you would think the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. But like as humans, we have, unless we have a reference point, we have a hard time. We know how long a couch is, but we don't know how long a wall is when we're just looking at it. But if we can picture, if there is a couch, or we can have a picture with a couch, it's staged in there, photoshopped in there, all of a sudden we know how big that room is, and we have a feel that it's bigger, where our brain tells us it's smaller if we're not. So, but back to your guys' expertise. So how do you feel about pre-list home inspections? Because I know that realtors across the city are all over these. We do them. Where do you guys stand on them?
So we do them also. We actually have done them for quite a long time, and we're big advocates of them. And I think for two reasons. I've always found that when working with buyers and sellers, when it's the buyer who's conducting the building inspection, the seller generally is not there. They're not privy to the details. It's a contract between the buyer and the inspector. And then they only get the details filtered through the buyer and the impact of those details filtered through the buyer. So with the seller doing it in advance, they're putting themselves in the driver's seat. They're not left waiting for the ball to drop. They're being in control of it. They know what they're selling, which is always great. It helps with pricing. It helps with any disclosures that need to be made. And I think it also helps with how to focus your preparations, because maybe you've set aside a certain amount of money that you're maybe going to paint, or you're maybe going to invest in new linens or some light staging or heavy staging. But if you find out there's a leak somewhere, or there's a repair,
nothing else matters.
Right. So then we can finesse those other things and save the money from one end to go to the other end. And if you can do that in advance, again, it makes everything a bit more smooth. And then on the buying side, especially in the market that we've come out of, buyers were sometimes spending money on inspections and not getting the house if they had to do it in advance of offer. Mm-hmm. And this allows a buyer to know it's a fuller picture of what they're buying before they're putting numbers on a paper, so that when they come to terms with a price and they want to make an offer, it's a more educated decision. And at least in my experience, and Melanie, I'll get your input on this, generally there's way less renegotiation later, and a buyer can always choose to invest and spend the money on their own independent supplementary inspection, but it kind of keeps everyone on the same playing field and makes things a bit more smooth.
Anything to add on that?
Well, yeah, in the last couple of years, when there'd be 30 offers on a house and that sort of thing, having a pre-listing inspection is essential. I mean, what I'm finding now, if it's an older house, absolutely, because you want to know what is, if there's anything that needs to be repaired, or at least go get a quote for it and be one step ahead on those sorts of things. But I'm finding that people want to do their own inspections now. So older home for sure, but if it's a newer home, I'm not sure. I don't think I would do it all the time now. I'm just finding people want to do their own. So, but I see the value in it 100% because, I did one and we found asbestos. We found vermiculite, and then we had time to get it tested, and there was no asbestos in it. So, like those sorts of things, if it's an older home, like in the glebe or something, 100% doing an inspection before, for sure.
So like I said, we do them. We have the same people that we go to do it. We know that they're going to be quick. We know that their report is going to be like a nice detailed online report with good pictures and things like that. And that's one of the things that we like just as a negotiation tool. Also with sellers, we just say surprises are not good as a seller. So let's include this home inspection for you. Even if you are not comfortable sharing it with the buyer, I would like you to know to uncover any potential surprises, any pitfalls, so that we can deal with them. And then I think when you mentioned about a quote, and we've done that often, if sometimes there's something where it's not necessary to get something repaired, but like a roof that's in, for example, a roof that's in good shape, it's not leaking or anything like that, but you can see the age on it, and a buyer is going to come in and want to know how much that's going to cost to replace, because the buyer thinks in retail prices right away, plus, and thinks that a roof is going to cost twice as much as it might to repair. So what we'll send out a seller to do sometimes is, okay, so this roof was mentioned as being older, go get a quote for it, or go get 2 written quotes from companies that we trust, and have them written and on the coffee table when people, or we can share them electronically. So when someone comes in, the buyer can just do the calculation of what this is all going to cost.
Yeah. Takes the ambiguity out a little bit, right?
Because take the ambiguity. Yeah.
If something's quoted, it could be 1,000 to 3,000. Buyer always hears 3, sometimes 5, right? So you want to make sure that if it's truly something that could be remedied for $1,000 or $2,000, get a quote and then share that with the buyer, and they can get their own quotes, but at least you have a starting point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a good place to take a break for the moment. When we come back, we're going to talk about cleaning. We'll talk about photos and video, and then some of the most important lessons that you've learned. So we will be right back. Hey, it's Nick Fundytus. Question: what's your favorite social media platform? Are you big on Instagram? Do you Reddit? No matter where you are, I'd love for you to find me there and connect. All you need to do is type @NickFundytus and follow, and let's you and I connect. I'd love to be able to provide you the right answers, the right resources, and the right content to help you make your next move. If you send me a question, I always answer back. So subscribe, and I'll see you there soon. We're back, and I'm talking with Melanie Wright and Natalie Baizana about preparing your home for sale. And the next question that I have for you is about cleaning. So we've touched on cleaning and stuff. How much should you clean before photos? So Melanie, we're going to start with you because Natalie's been giving such good answers. I feel like you're getting the leftovers here on that.
A lot of the time, the cleaning, like obviously it will be clean, but to get the super deep clean, we'll wait for the day of showings. And because you're not going to see that stuff in photos, but like the super deep clean, always before showings. But I generally wouldn't bring a cleaner in unless it really needs it before photos, because it's more paint touch-ups and that sort of thing before photos. So that's generally in my experience, but
I agree with that. I think cleaning, well, I mean, who doesn't love a clean home? I think it always helps the house show in its best light. And I think something that's subliminal that sellers may not always appreciate is that when a buyer walks into a clean home, there is kind of this essence of, oh, they take care of their home. Oh, this home is loved.
Yes.
There's a confidence level there when it's clean. Whereas when you go into a home and it's not clean and it's a buildup, then you start to wonder, what else did they not have time for? Did they not fix the leak or repair the broken X or Y, right? So I do agree that you see it less in the photos and more so in person. So if there is an option, the ideal would be that if they're planning in advance, that they start cleaning or they get a deep clean. everyone's version of clean is relative.
Yes.
So, if you can give them an outline of what needs to be done, or in an ideal world, offset it. And usually we would encourage that, you hire that out, because you're so tired organizing and prepping and packing, and that really you're not going to have the energy, and you shouldn't have to. For the cost, for the return on the cost is definitely worth outsourcing.
And the amount of times we've seen people like open a stove or the fridge,
Right.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you have time to do that,
Yes.
like you're going to win people over. You know? So
Yeah.
It does. It's just that feel of care.
If the oven's clean, people don't assume that they're going to have to replace that appliance. If if the drawer, like if the closet is organized, they just assume that like this is a person who pays attention to the details.
And I think because we sell a lot of urban homes, and there are a lot of older homes in the urban homes, and older homes get tired, right? And so if it's clean and sparkling, it just feels fresh and light and airy. And if it doesn't, then it shows its age more. And I think that's something where, you might have something pretty in front of it, but if the baseboards are really dirty, well, then the pretty pillow is kind of not doing the job that you need it to do.
Yeah. I find with the urban and the downtown homes, when Jill and I were first looking years ago, we looked at some downtown. Then we ended up moving to Vanier, and then now we're in Beacon Hill, so we're like suburbanites. So we're but when we were looking at the downtown, we're like, if something was really well presented, we're like, yeah, we're going to be those cool, hip downtown people. And we're not cool or hip at all, but like we felt like it when we were in a really sexy house. Yeah, that was really like crisp and well presented. It's like, yeah, we're going to be just like these people, and our stuff's going to be minimalist, and we're going to be so cool. And that's, you give that emotion to a buyer who comes through your home and they get really excited about the house. Yeah. So
Very true.
Photos and video. So I love photos and video, enough that we have a videographer on the team now. But what are your theories on what's important to capture?
Melanie, I'm going to let you say.
Yeah.
well, I love old homes, and I love architecturally interesting homes. So if there's something like an architectural detail, whether it's woodwork or a banister or something interesting, or a focal point like a beautiful fireplace, or something, in a newer home, like some of the new details, capturing that I think is important. And, it could be something in the yard or neighborhood, but just to give you a feel and just to give you a sense of what it would be like to be in that home, without showing the every square inch of the home. So.
And then adding to that, I think, I have this theory that we're all being kind of reprogrammed for instant gratification, right? Because of tech. And so knowing that buyers are doing the bulk of their shopping from their device before they even step outside, you really need to get them in the door. So whether it's highlighting the architectural features or highlighting the natural light or the flow, the function of the space, in recent years, the work from home has become so important. If that's what they're lacking, really trying to know your customer, know who the buyer audience is for the product, and then trying to showcase what it's offering. And sometimes it's appealing to multiple types of buyers. You want to ideally highlight a little bit of everything to try to get the widest net. Yep. And get them in the door. Great.
Now, when you are preparing a home, you're doing still photos. Obviously, that's like, and you have a professional coming in. You're not doing them on your iPhone or worse, like that 3 megapixel Olympus camera from Staples that you bought 20 years ago. And because some of those are still out there, right?
They are. You still see the photo where the thumb is in the picture because they took the exterior from their car.
Those are my favorite.
And their phone. Yeah.
I got an offer last year that was one of the pages that was done in triplicate, like where you press hard with the pen. Yeah, really? For real. Yeah, it was done by hand. It's not by me. So photos, 3D tours, do you use them?
Depends on the property.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it shows too much.
Okay.
I don't know if you agree, but older homes, sometimes there's like an awkward corner or there's so you don't want to necessarily show everything. You're trying to show, the reel of highlights.
Yeah.
And then also emphasizing the lifestyle that property is offering. So whether there's, the local shops, restaurants, schools, proximity to parks, canal, water, whatever it is, baseball diamond, you really want to help people see the property, but also the lifestyle that you could have if you were to move there.
Yeah, and I see that on both your sites when I look on your websites as well. You're pointing out what's around. We try and do that on the videos too, where we sometimes we'll do a neighborhood video in addition to the video, and we're trying to tell a story about who, if you're this person, this might be a perfect fit for you.
Right.
So what are, now to kind of wrap this all up, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned about preparing homes during your career as a realtor? If you had to say, what stands out, what are the things that you would communicate to a client today, or just that you've learned along the way?
I would say that investment in the preparation has value in any market. So whether it's, crazy hot market like we've had the last couple of years, buyer's market, seller's market, balanced market, new home, older home, there is almost always value in some preparation of the property to try to emphasize widest buyer audience. And usually, although there's costs associated with that, they're often more cost effective than doing a price reduction down the road, if it hasn't sold.
Right.
So you kind of offset your investing up front to get the benefit long term.
Okay.
And then plants, which we talked about light. So I find a lot of homes actually don't have live plants, and live plants do breathe life, and both fresh cut flowers and green plants, so you can have a space where maybe sometimes that's all it's missing is a little bit of extra life. And when people see plants, they think, oh, we can live here too. Right. So, and then knowing your audience.
I bring plants around in my car to people's houses.
I do too.
I always worry if they're going to water them or not, my babies. But
I just talked to Stephanie on my team because she's the plant person. Yeah. What's the most important thing that you've learned?
Yeah, just like what you were saying, just the more time you have to prep, the better. I mean, we're going to now have time. Homes are going to look better now, I think, because the past couple of years, someone would buy a house on a whim, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 days to get this house on the market. It's not going to look as good as it can. I mean, it depends. I do have clients that have been able to get it all together, but, they're worse for wear at the end of that week. So I think it's actually nice now that we can spend some time, do things in stages, get the paint touch-ups, schedule things in rather than having to run around chasing everything and everyone's worn out. Because if you get these things done, the little leaks, all of those things, if you can fix all of those things, you're going to make up for it tenfold in the price that you get for your home. The more prepared it is, even if it takes a week to delay or 2 weeks to delay, just to get it ready. Yeah.
If a seller looks at their house after it's all prepared and says, you know what, I don't want to move. I love the way it feels in here now. You've reached
if I had a dollar.
Yeah.
If I had a dollar.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have learned on a sort of different tack from you two, because you two are quite tasteful and put together. The best I can say about my style is maybe sexy Mr. Rogers. That's the best we're hoping for here. But I have terrible taste in terms of home decor. I know what I like when I see it, but I like a kitschy 70s basement with a quilted leatherette bar down there. That's my ideal. So I have learned that the stagers can make me look like a professional by them coming in. They can also be, if there's work to be done, they can also be the bad guy to deliver some news.
Absolutely.
Nice. Judy and Kaylin with Room Remedy are good at being funny but blunt. Sometimes I have to tell clients that, remember, the stager is not here to make friends with you. They're here to, and so don't let your feelings get hurt. But everything they tell you can help you get more money when you sell your home or sell it faster. You two have been excellent, and I would like for people to be able to reach out and hire you. So where someone who's interested in working with you find you? What are your coordinates? Melanie?
Melanie Wright Real Estate on Instagram, and melaniewright.ca is my website.
Sounds good. What's you got a phone number that's easy to reach you?
I do. My cell is 613-769-6113.
Super. How about you?
And our team website is livelovehome.ca. And otherwise, you can Google me and find me anywhere. Natalie at nataliebaizana.com.
Baizana. Yeah, there you go. Well, excellent. Thank you both for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I think that the two of you are wonderful, and I think you're an asset to anybody who works with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun.
You too.
What is people first when it comes to real estate? After all, we're buying and selling properties, so is it really about people? People first just means that people are more important than properties. It means that at the heart of every move, there's a human story. And that's why my team and I have to be excellent for you every time you buy or sell a home. That's why we take so much time to educate all our clients on the market and on the process. That's why we are continually improving our processes, honing our negotiation skills so that you know you are getting Ottawa's best when you work with us. That's why we stay in touch year after year with our past clients, because I believe, and we believe as a team, that being a business in Ottawa means that we have an obligation to our community, to improve it, to serve it, and to connect the people who live in it. In an era where property sales are often prioritized over people, our team puts relationships first. One client at a time, one relationship at a time. That's people first real estate.